I'm Eddie Muller, and trouble is my business. This weekend's trip through Noir Alley is going to lead us far from the gates of major studios like Paramount and Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer and deep into an area known in Hollywood as Poverty Row. Today's film, made in 1948, is the product of Eagle Lion Films, a short-lived, low-budget studio that rose and fell during the heyday of film noir. It produced or distributed several of the movement's most memorable and influential movies: T-Men, Raw Deal, Canyon City, He Walked by Night, and the film coming up, Hollow Triumph, also known in various re-releases as The Scar and The Man Who Murdered Himself. Now, Eagle Lion was a British production company owned by movie mogul J. Arthur Rank. In 1947, it acquired Hollywood-based Producers Releasing Corporation, known as PRC, which jokers in the business claimed was an acronym for Pretty Rotten Crap. The plan was for Eagle Lion to produce low-budget B films, all costing less than $500,000, to play the bottom half of double bills with A pictures imported from England. Brian Foy, who'd formerly commanded the B unit at Warner Brothers, was hired as the new studio's production chief. The strategy pioneered by the studio's boss, Arthur Krim, was to keep overhead low by working with independent producers who'd arranged their own financing. And this arrangement attracted some of the sharpest producers in the business, guys like Edward Small, Aubrey Schenck, Jack Schwartz, and Walter Wanger. Now, another savvy businessman drawn to Eagle Lion at this time was actor Paul Henreid. The Austrian emigre had enjoyed a few years as a romantic leading man, most famously as Bette Davis's love interest in Now Voyager and freedom fighter Victor Laszlo in Casablanca, both released in 1942. By 1948, however, Henreid felt he was languishing at Warner Brothers, and he wanted to start applying his talent behind the camera as well. At the suggestion of Szekely István, a Hungarian who directed pictures under the Americanized name Steve Szekely, Henreid bought the rights to the novel Hollow Triumph by Murray Forbes. It was the sort of edgy, twisted crime yarn that was all the rage in Hollywood, and Henreid hired a terrific writer, Daniel Fuchs, to adapt the screenplay. Fuchs had written the dark and poetic script for the 1944 fantasy drama Between Two Worlds, in which Henreid co-starred with John Garfield, Eleanor Parker, and Sidney Greenstreet. Henreid chose his pal Szekely to direct, and he hired another Hungarian, the great John Alton, to photograph the film in high noir style. The plot revolves around an on-the-lam crook named John Muller, no relation. He eludes his pursuers by masquerading as a psychoanalyst, who is, somewhat preposterously, his identical twin, except for one distinguishing feature. Now, I admit there are more than a few crazy coincidences in this story, but what holds the whole affair together is the character of the shrink's secretary, Evelyn Hahn, a hard-luck, chin-up working dame, and one of my favorite characters in noir. Originally, Henreid wanted Evelyn Keyes for the part. They'd met and bonded on a highly publicized trip to Washington, D.C., organized by Keyes' husband, John Huston, to protest the hearings of the House Committee on Un-American Activities. Now, Keyes was under contract at Columbia, however, kept tightly under the thumb of studio boss Harry Cohn. Before loaning out his star, Cohn demanded to read the script. Now, he liked it so much, he tried to buy the project, with Henreid attached, and make the picture at Columbia. But Henreid refused, knowing he'd ultimately be sacrificing control to King Cohn. Instead, Henreid made the film at Eagle Lion, where he'd have a much tighter budget, but all the control he wanted. And he scored a major coup when he convinced Joan Bennett to co-star. The actress had begun as an ingenue in the 1930s, a platinum-haired clone of Jean Harlow. But by the 40s, she had completely remade herself as a smart-talking and sexy brunette, giving indelible and fatale performances in two Fritz Lang-directed noirs, The Woman in the Window and Scarlet Street. She and her husband, producer Walter Wanger, formed Diana Productions with Lang to make their own films outside the studio system. And as you'll see, Bennett could play much more than the slinky femme fatale. Here she creates a fully developed character, one that I'm sure resonated with a lot of single women in post-war America. And who knows, maybe with single women in contemporary America as well. From Eagle Lion Films and the Emigre trio of Paul Henreid, Steve Seckley, and John Alton, here is one of the bitterest little noirs of the era, Hollow Triumph.